Welcome back, and today we're going to go over the top 10 best knives for the job site. These are more hard use knives, knives that most of these I've used whenever I worked in the chemical plant industry and in the construction industry, and every one of these knives are on washers because, you know, out in those environments you could have dust and grime, and those bearing knives could possibly seize up on you and become inoperable. So the first one is the Hogue knives, Hogue Ritter RSK. Mine's wearing a set of original goat aluminum scales that make it even more robust feeling in hand. This one has a 20 CV blade. I think they also offer it in Magna Cut now as well. This is the full size, and if it's too big for you, they also have the mini RSK, also wearing some beautiful original goat scales. If you would decide to pick up any of these original goat scales, use my code STASA23 for 15% off. I will have a link down below to all the knives plus original goat as well. But outstanding knife, robust. It's got the crossbar lock, which is also a very robust locking mechanism, and it's a safe mechanism, keeping your fingers out of the blade path when closing. Excellent knife, especially for a completely USA made knife, and the scales are USA made. It's hard to beat this one for the price they're going for. The only thing that you really have to worry about with these knives with the crossbar locks is the mega springs. If one of them happens to break, it's not going to function as nicely. If both of them break, your knife's not going to lock open. So I have a bunch of spare Omega springs just in case any of my Hogue axis lock knives start to break, or any of my Benchmades. That way I'm never out of a knife. So that's one thing to think about whenever you buy these knives. Next up, we have the Spyderco Shaman. This one is just a robust knife all around. It's got a very comfortable handle, so you should be able to put a lot of pressure into something that you're cutting. You got a reinforced tip on this one. That leaf-shaped blade is good for just about any type of cutting activity you might have to do. And you have some pretty chunky stock on this one as well. Plus, you have the compression lock, which is not only a strong lock, but it's also a safe lock, keeping your fingers out of the blade path as well when closing. This one is a sprint run, but any of the Shamans, the S30V one is just as good. It's in G10 instead of the micarta. And there's tons of aftermarket parts you can buy for pretty much any Spyderco. You can definitely find micarta scales, and you can definitely find a milled deep carry titanium pocket clip as well. But awesome knife, the Spyderco Shaman. Next up, we have the Cold Steel AD10, and of course mine's been heavily modified, but the original contoured scales that come on the AD10 are outstanding. They're very, very comfortable. The AD10 is just such a heavy use knife. It's got the tried and true triad lock, arguably the strongest locking mechanism on the market for a folding knife. You got a beautiful drop point blade, very, very stout tip there, just in case you had to do some light prying on the job. And this is just going to be a very comfortable user. S35V in steel, so it's going to hold an edge really well. And Cold Steel does some excellent job with their heat treats. I've tested a lot of Cold Steel knives, and every single time I test them, I'm mind blown on how well it performed. Now, they are thicker behind the edge, but as long as you keep them nice and sharp, they will hold that edge for a good amount of time. Love the AD10. Even whenever I had the G10 scales on it, I loved it. These aftermarket scales are flat, so they're not even as comfortable as the G10, but they feel better in my hands. It has aluminum liners in here that helps keep down the weight. The only thing that I hated about the AD10 was the pocket clip, but I bought this aftermarket deep carry pocket clip off of Etsy, and that was a game changer for me. The other one was just too stiff. Now, that's something that you may want as in a work knife, so it doesn't come out of your pocket easily or anything. Now, if the AD10 is too expensive for you, my next budget option would be the Cold Steel Lite. This one is an outstanding work knife because it's very slim in all dimensions. It's lightweight. It's very easy to carry. It's a smooth folder, comfortable, and it has a triad lock. And it's considerably cheaper than the AD10. Now, it is in AUS 10A steel, which, once again, Cold Steel does an excellent job with their AUS 10. And this thing's going to hold up just fine, and you can definitely use and abuse these. They also have an Tanto blade. Yeah, I think this is one of their most overlooked knives, in my opinion. All right, next up we have the Benchmade Bailout. This was the aluminum version one with the M4 steel, and that's the one that, that's the one I'm talking about here. Super tough knife. M4's super tough steel. Benchmade is known for doing excellent quality heat treatments. USA made. These are some aftermarket scales I've got, I think, from Rock Scale Designs. They're titanium with their titanium hardware. I love the bailout. Even with the contoured aluminum scales, it's still a phenomenal knife. Thin blade stock, so it still slices pretty well and takes a very, very sticky edge. Especially this edge right here, I think is a 800 grit edge, and then I stropped it. So it's got a little bit of polish to it, not much. And talk about sticky sharp. I mean, grabs the skin right away and is a very, very aggressive cutter. It's one thing I love about M4 steel. It holds a really good edge. It's super tough. Now, it's not a stainless, but it is coated, and my coating has held up pretty nicely, and I've used and abused this one a good bit. Next up, we have the Spyderco Manix 2. It's hard to have this kind of list and not have the Manix on there. It's a very ergonomic knife. You can choke back, you can choke up. You got that beautiful leaf-shaped blade. Come in a myriad of different steel options, bunch of different scale options, aftermarket parts out of the wazoo. You can get aluminum, titanium, micarta scales. You can get different ball cages. You can get linerless scales, which I think that's what I'm going to do for this one. This is the 15V one, but any of the Manix 2s are awesome. Full flat grind, decent robust tip. It's not super robust, but it could handle some, if you had to dig into some wood or something. Definitely not going to want to pry with that tip, but tough enough to do most work tasks. Just don't use it as a screwdriver. That's not what it's made for. But love it. USA made as well on this one. Awesome action. Very, very good knife. Comes with this nice aggressive peel ply G10, which is awesome for a work scenario. Next up, we have the Benchmade Mini Adamas. If you didn't see my review of this one, I think whenever these first came out, I abused this thing pretty bad, and it held up excellently. It's in CPM Crewwear steel, which is coated, so you're not going to have to worry about corrosion. The action, excellent. Comfortable in hand, deep carry pocket clip on them. Now, I did swap the thumb stud that they come with on I forgot which thumb stud it is, just because little pointy studs kind of aggravate my hands, but I did notice it does make it a little bit harder to get to, so I know why they put those studs there. And on a job site with a pair of work gloves, I could definitely appreciate those studs. You have a drop point blade. Yeah, just an overall excellent knife. And if you're a big fella, maybe you get the full size Adamas. This one is perfect for my EDC. I tried to keep this list to knives that are available, and I didn't want to go above the $300 price range. I have a hard use video with premium hard use knives, and I have a under $60 hard use knife video as well. I'll try to put a link to one of those up here if I do remember to do that. Now, of course, I could have made this whole list cold steel, but I mean, I wanted to give some variety here. And the Cold Steel Ultimate Hunter, this is another one that I use on the job, not this exact one because I don't have the one I had when I used it on the job site. That one's long gone. But the Ultimate Hunter is an outstanding knife. It's kind of like a mini 8010 almost. You have pretty much that same blade shape. It's just not as wide. Same blade steel, S35 VN. Has the same nice contoured G10 scales like the 8010. And overall, it's a slimmer form factor. And it's a little bit easier to carry than the 8010. At least in my opinion it is. But both of them excellent knives. And once again, you have the tried and true triad lock. This thing is super stout. My other one just, I beat it and beat it and beat it, and it's held up to the abuse. And I just got this one because I wanted one back in the collection. Outstanding, outstanding knife. Number 9, we have pretty much any Emerson folder. They're USA made, and they're built to be very tough. This is the Mini A100. And I don't think these are in stock right now. These are a little bit harder to come by than the full size. It's wearing a set of green canvas micarta scales that I made for it a long time ago. I made them nice and contoured, so it's very comfortable. And they're just known for being tough. This one has a V-ground primary bevel, but as you can see, if you look on this side, you have an edge bevel, which is your secondary bevel right here, which this one has a chisel edge. As you can see, there's just a very, very fine micro bevel on this side just to knock off that burr. Just tough knives. You have a titanium liner and a stainless steel liner on these. Smooth washer action. Mine have broken in so nicely. They're so smooth. And same goes with, like, say, the Mini Commander. Only reason I didn't show this one first because this one is more conducive to the type of work I used to do. The recurve drop point is just a little too aggressive for the job site I used to work on. And this one has the wave feature, which, you know, could be frowned upon on some job sites, especially where I was working. So this is also an excellent hard-to-use knife. Now, if both of these are unavailable, like I said, I'm not sure. Another good one that you could alternate with these two is the Spyderco Gayle Bradley 2. Awesome knife. I put these aftermarket scales on it from Sharp Dressed Knives. This is in CPM M4. Gayle Bradley is a blade sports champion time and time again. I don't even know if he still does it anymore, but he designs working knives. This one has a hollow grind, but it's still nice and tough. A robust tip. M4, like I said, is super tough. The only reason this one wasn't in front of these two, it just as an alternative, because the lock bar is a little uncomfortable for me, so I did a lot of modifying to mine. I ground those little serrations off the top of the lock bar and made it a little bit more comfortable for me to disengage. But overall, besides that, it's an outstanding knife. Good size, excellent blade shape once again. So any of these would make excellent options. Lastly, we have the Cold Steel Engage 3.5. If you did not see my review of this knife, was it last year or this year? I forget. But at the end, I hammered this thing into a tree and stood on it. I batoned it through some wood. I batoned it through some wire. And I don't think, this is still the factory edge. There's absolutely no edge damage that I can see. Now, it is thick behind the edge, but it comes with a very, very good heat treat. And I wish I would have waited. I would like one of the drop point versions instead of this clip point, but still excellent. And it's got the Atlas lock, which is pretty much the shark lock with an extra pin in it. Smooth action, very comfortable. You have nice contoured G10 scales, reversible, actual good pocket clip. Now, it didn't countersink the pocket clip screws, but it's an actual clip that goes in and out of the pocket decently. Very smooth action on the Atlas lock. Another one that is very, very strong and could be stronger than the Triad lock. I have no idea. I have no evidence to prove it here nor there, but all I know is it's super strong. S35, like I said, and a quality knife nonetheless. Still have even though it's a clip point, you still have a nice robust tip there. Yeah. If you hadn't seen my review of this, go check it out. So that's my top 10 for the work site. And let me know if you have any that you would add to this list that you carry on a daily basis or something to work. Like I said, I no longer work in those industries anymore, but whenever I worked in the industrial chemical plant industry, that's where I got hurt at. Whenever I worked there, we used and abused knives all the time because a lot of times it's not something we wanted to do with the knife, but it's, you know, maybe I was working nights and we got called out to go run out to do something and I didn't expect to have to do what I was going to do and the knife was sacrificed. I've definitely broke a few knives doing stupid stuff at work, but these are all solid choices. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. I hope everybody's having an absolute amazing day. Like I said, if you're interested in any of these, I will have them linked down in the description. And I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.